For today, we're going to learn about subtracting polynomials, but in order to subtract, we first are going to do a quick review of adding polynomials. When we add polynomials, we say that we combine like terms, and like terms have to have the same variable and the same exponent. So if I look at this first example, I have a 2x cubed and a 1x cubed. Don't forget that when there's no coefficient written, that's 1. So I have 2x cubed plus 1x cubed for a total of 3x cubed. You're adding the coefficients and the exponent does not change. Then I go looking, do I have any x squared terms? Here I have minus 2x squared, and that's the only x squared term. So there's nothing to combine it with. Then I go looking for my x's. Here I have a plus 4x. That's the only x term. And then I go looking for my constants. I have plus 8 and plus 1 for a total of plus 9. I'm writing it in descending order. If you write it in a different order, that is totally fine, but we need to have these 4 terms. Over here, I look and I have a 6x squared, and that's the only x squared term. Then I find my x's, my linear terms. I have 5x and minus 3x. 5 minus 3 gives me 2x. Then I look for my constants. I have minus 3 and plus 1. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. And then I'm all done. So adding is just finding the terms that have the same exponents and then adding their coefficients and leaving the exponent the same. When we subtract polynomials, the first thing we do is we rewrite the subtraction as adding the opposite. We know from years of math that if you have something like 5 minus 3, that's the same thing as 5 plus negative 3. The number that you are being subtracted, you add the opposite of that number. Both of these are equal to 2 in this case. So we're going to take our subtraction, rewrite it as adding the opposite, and then we're going to add as we did before. So we're going to combine our like terms to add. And again, quick reminder, you add the coefficients and the exponents don't change. Couple examples. Here I have 3x squared minus 5x minus 2x squared plus 3. So when you change to rewrite it as adding the opposite, you don't change the first polynomial. What I want to rewrite is instead of subtracting 2x squared plus 3, I want to add the opposite of that. So one way you can do this is think of there being it as if there's a negative 1 here that multiplies each thing. Each of these terms are going to switch signs. So I'm going to have a negative 2x squared, and then I'm going to have negative 1 times 3 is minus 3. Or I could have written this as minus 2x squared minus 3. Then I do what we did last week. I take the 3x squared and the negative 2x squared and add those. 3 minus 2 is 1x squared. I have my negative 5x with no like terms, and I have my negative 3 with no like terms. We'll do it again here. The first polynomial stays the same, and then the one that we are subtracting, we add the opposite. Sometimes people find it helpful to make this a plus and then switch everything inside the parentheses. There's different ways that you can show this work. So I have plus negative 5x squared or minus 5x squared and plus negative 7x minus 7x. Both of them have switched signs because we're subtracting them. And then I combine my like terms. I have the x cubed. I have a minus 4x squared and a minus 5x squared for a total of minus 9x squared. I have plus 3x and minus 7x. 3 minus 7 is minus 4x. Couple more examples. I'm going to rewrite, keep the first polynomial the same, and then I'm going to rewrite this adding the opposite. So again, either put a plus -1 times and multiply everything by -1, or you change the sign and then switch them all inside the parentheses. Combine your like terms. 6 and -2 is 4x squared. 8x and -3x is 5x. -1 and -9 is -10. One little comment on this last one. So again, I'm going to keep the first polynomial the same, and then I want to add the opposite. So I have minus -3x squared plus 5x minus 1. So when I add this, I'm going to make everything the opposite. So the minus becomes plus, this becomes -5x, and this becomes plus 1. I switch all the signs inside the parentheses. And then bring them down. Then we do what we were doing last week. Find all the x squared terms, add their coefficients. Find the x's. -1x and -5x is -6x. Find the constants. Plus 5 plus 1 is plus 6. When you do your homework today, the first couple problems are just subtraction, and then the second set you have to check and see whether it is addition or subtraction. If it's addition, you just combine your like terms right away. If it's subtraction, you rewrite it as adding the opposite and then combine your like terms.